Hi, I'm Joni Rogers from Stella's Umbrella, and I want to tell you about The Salt Maiden by Colleen Thompson. I want to tell you about Colleen Thompson in general. She's a friend of mine, but I was a fan before I was a friend. I actually met her at a book signing where I bought one of her books, and then we subsequently became friends. Publishers Weekly compares her to Tammy Hogue and Tess Gerritsen. If you're a fan of Sandra Brown, I think you'll love Colleen Thompson, though I think she's way, way better than Sandra Brown, because Colleen Thompson is an example of romantic suspense done right. Two things that make her books better than a lot of what's in the genre. The atmospherics are very evocative, very well written, poetic almost, and the secondary characters are never thrown away. They're rich and witty and fully fleshed, and you'll always get these great moments of zingy dialogue and poignant, heartfelt relationships evolving and things through these secondary characters that she brings in. The lady who runs the diner and the guy in the band, and stuff like that a lot of authors would miss that opportunity. There's a lot of sex, of course, or the usual amount of sex that's in a romance novel, but it's always in service of the story. It doesn't feel plugged in, if you'll pardon the pun, and you see characters' true colors emerging. It's well written. I have to say, to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of some of the books that she's done on the Harlequin label, because the heavy-handed editing at that imprint is just the stench of it. I don't like it. I wish they would just let her do what she does incredibly well, and what she really does do in her standalone titles, such as the three I want to recommend. Number one, there's Beneath Bone Lake, and the sequel to Beneath Bone Lake, Touch of Evil, which have this character, Sheriff Justine Wofford, who is like the female Longmire. If you're a fan of Longmire, you need to look up the Justine books. And then what I would say is my favorite Colleen Thompson novel is The Salt Maiden. I read this book like 6 years ago, and I can still remember specific moments of it, specific bits of the atmosphere and descriptions. The plot was never expected. Lots of surprising, one plot bomb after another. The reveals very well done. The fact that I can remember this much about it 6 years later is kind of indicative. But there's a woman whose name is Dana. She's the protagonist. She is out in West Texas, in the really hostile, desolate part of Texas, which is very richly drawn here. She's looking for her sister, whose name I can't remember, but she's kind of like a crazy, druggy, bohemian, artsy kind of a chick who's had a kind of a skeevy past. So when she goes missing, a lot of people are just ready to blow that off. And the way she's been living in this place way out in the countryside is kind of suspect in itself. So, of course, Dana enlists the local police, the sheriff in particular, who's a hunk. That doesn't hurt either. And so from there, it just goes in this very unexpected direction. And there's one surprise after another. The plot moves incredibly fast. There's a lot of action, a lot of sensuality, a lot of tension, and then a really surprising end comes to light. So I'm highly recommending Colleen Thompson in general, and The Salt Maiden in particular. I hope you'll check it out.